because laws allow managers to pay sub-minimum wages to tipped workers.
That's not
in many
okay.
other countries, number 15, get free refills.
Oh, I love
Biggest
it.
differences with number 17, have pharmacies that sell groceries. In most
Yeah,
of the
that is
world,
wacky.
pharmacies-
So today we're going to check out a video called 20 Things Americans Do That They Think Is Normal. I think that's what it's called. And it's by Watch Mojo. I'll leave the link to the original video in the description box below. There are a lot of fun cultural differences, so I'm excited to see today if there's anything I haven't thought about before. My favorite is the ones that are like so simple, like simple little things that you do and you don't realize are strange. I'm still discovering stuff when you guys watch videos and you're like, what are you doing there? And I'm like, oh. What do you think, Chu? You still haven't even been to America. I'm kind of afraid that if I bring him in, they won't let me take him out because they love him so much. Okay, let's do this.
Good call on these outfits, dude.
It's the only call. You know what I mean?
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 things only Americans do.
We get a ton of shit.
For this list, we're looking at common beliefs and practices in the United States. They don't need to be exclusively American, just something that Americans are known for. If there's
Gotcha.
something uniquely American that didn't make our list, unite in the comments to state your picks. Number 20, refer to the USA as America.
America.
Outside of the United States of America, referring to the country as America is much less commonplace. After all, there are 2 entire continents called America, comprising like 35 distinct nations. Referring to only one country on one of those continents as America too is really confusing for anyone who doesn't live there.
From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. America first.
Calling it the US, USA, the United States, or just the States is much more common in the rest of the world. Even so, everyone still calls its residents Americans, which isn't confusing at all.
You can't say it, but you know it's true.
That's an interesting one for the simple fact that I know you guys do that. But when I do that, I get people in comments giving out crap to me like I don't know the difference between the continent and the country. It's like, okay, well, I guess I can't say it, but you guys can say it. Fair enough. I think, though, generally in Europe, we do say America.
Number 19, throw gender reveal parties. Cultures the world over have traditions to prepare expecting parents and celebrate the expected birth of a child.
Thank you so much for throwing me this baby shower, girls. I feel so welcome to the neighborhood.
Of course!
However, Americans have really taken the concept and run with it. An entire industry has been built around baby showers, as well as their modern relatives' gender reveal parties. Emerging in the 2000s, the latter have become infamous for sometimes absurd levels of showmanship. Some over-the-top reveals have been responsible for injuries and even disasters. They remain somewhat controversial, with many people, including Americans, not really getting why they're often made into such big deals.
I don't know why, but I'm like gonna cry.
Oh my gosh, why are you gonna cry?
Because I'm just really happy for you.
You look like it.
You look like you're happy.
So sorry, I couldn't help myself. The gender reveal thing, yeah, I have seen Europeans doing it, but we have more so caught the baby shower thing, which as a person who always grew up thinking it was superstitious to buy a baby anything before they came into the world, I still feel a bit about like just superstition. That's just a me thing.
Number 18, experience huge bathroom stall gaps. These restrooms have their own quirks, like different sinks and toilet bowls. The US is known for having a high volume of water in their bowls and large gaps in their bathroom stalls, both under the door and between the door and the walls. Visitors can be taken aback at the lack of privacy. Some hold that they're designed for easy cleaning or construction. Others that it allows one to check which stalls are occupied, although occupancy indicators on the locks can do that too.
Maybe so you can see if there's someone in there.
Isn't that why we have locks on the doors?
Well, as a backup system, in case a lock is broken, you can see if it's taken.
A backup system?
It might also make it more difficult to get up to no good in there. Whatever the case, public bathrooms in the US are built for speed, not comfort.
Would you just sit down and go to the bathroom already?
Number 17, have pharmacies that sell groceries. In most
Yeah,
of the
that
world,
is wacky.
Pharmacies sell exactly what their name implies, pharmaceuticals. While you will see tangentially related items like grooming products or hygienic things like toothbrushes, pharmacies don't usually carry food or toys. But in the US, that's much more common. The country is all about the all-in-one experience. Not only will dedicated grocery stores have pharmacies built in, but pharmacies will also carry groceries. Granted, the selection isn't always great, but if you're desperate for milk and the grocery store is closed or you just don't feel like crossing the street to get there, you can get some. While most of the world still limits drugstores to drugs and self-care products, we have a feeling this one might catch on. Number 16. Vote before they can drink.
Unpopular opinion, maybe just because I'm European, but I do find this one very odd. And also drive before you can drink. Though I do see the logic behind that one. Just because in Europe, like, we're kind of more so raised with a glass of wine at dinner kind of culture. And early binge drinking in the UK and Ireland. But yeah, let's see what they have to say about this one.
Worldwide, the age at which a person can legally drink alcohol is most commonly 18. The age usually considered to be adulthood, though it is even earlier in some countries. The voting age on a global scale is also generally 18, for similar reasons, although of course there are exceptions.
The Voting Rights Act of 1970 lowered the voting age to 18 for national elections, and the 26th Amendment made the change to 18 permanent for all elections.
And 18 is where it has stayed for the past 50 years.
However, the United States requires young adults to wait 3 years after being able to vote before legally being allowed to drink at 21. This was enacted during the 1980s to prevent alcohol-related driving accidents.
This law has been an abysmal failure. It hasn't reduced or eliminated drinking. It has simply driven it underground, behind closed doors, into the most risky and least manageable of settings.
While it helped in the short term, ultimately it hasn't really stopped teenagers from drinking. The result is that many people, both inside and outside the US, question the logic of why an 18-year-old American can decide who forms the government but not get buzzed.
The reality is everyone drinks before they turn 21. That's why when you go out for your first legal drink, you have to react with that faux surprise like you've never heard of alcohol before. Ooh, what does this alcohol taste like? Oh, it's unusual. Oh, this is true.
Number 15, get free refills.
Oh, I love it.
The biggest differences between American restaurants and the rest of the world are their drink services. Most American and many Canadian restaurants and other establishments will offer at least one free refill of a non-alcoholic drink.
Refill. Free! Where is it going?
The idea is that because of the low cost of drinks, particularly fountain soft drinks, offering a refill won't hurt the establishment's bottom line.
Okay, that is a huge difference because in Europe, a lot of restaurants make their money on the drinks. Like, that's how the bill adds up. Like, you get one €4 Diet Coke, and then you want another €4 Diet Coke, and then you might want a glass of water as well. Like, that's how they make so much more money. And I always find it really interesting that America does not do that. Because capitalism.
Particularly if drinks are not the primary source of income. However, the idea has been slow to catch on in the rest of the world, and it's nowhere near as consistently offered. Some countries have raised concern that a practice like this can lead to an increase in obesity. Number 14, tip service personnel.
All right, everybody cough up some green.
I hate it. I hate it.
Come on, throw in a buck.
I don't tip.
You don't tip?
No, I don't believe in it.
While the concept of tipping waitstaff or other people in the service industry is known worldwide, few countries have embraced the concept to the degree the US has.
Labor movements declare the practice undemocratic, and anti-tipping legislation was enacted across several states. But restaurants and rail operators like the Pullman Company embraced tipping because it allowed them, among other things, to hire recently freed slaves without having to pay them.
Many workers, particularly in the restaurant industry, rely on gratuities to get by, in part because laws allow managers to pay sub-minimum wages to tipped workers. However,
that's not okay!
Countries, tipping is seen as insulting. They're just doing their jobs, after all.
Each year, Americans spend $40 billion on tips. That's more than we spend on foreign aid and more than we spend on gambling. And like gambling, it's not entirely clear that tipping makes any sense in the first place.
While some countries' workers certainly appreciate it, it isn't expected like it is in the US. Mostly because employees are paid a high enough baseline salary that they don't need tips to survive.
Restaurant owners still pay their servers less than minimum wage, turning what used to be a bribe into an obligation that makes the end of every meal suck.
Yeah!
Number 13.
It's the obligation part of it that bothers me. I'm like, if you are employing somebody to work on your premises, you should at least be able to pay them a living wage for part-time or full-time work. I don't know. Nobody seems to agree with me on this. I just don't think it's the customer's impetus to have to pay. I do it when I'm in the United States because I respect your culture and that's part of your culture, but I just don't think it's the best way to run stuff. As a person who has no say in how you run stuff, I'll do it because it's your thing, but
the American military is probably the best in the world. As it should be, since it's also one of the best funded militaries in the world. In fact, the US spends several times more on their military than their nearest competitor, China. What's more, there are more than a few American citizens who have a higher than average fascination with their own military and its culture.
I thank you as your commander-in-chief because you inspire me. Your willingness to serve, to step forward at a time of war and say, send me, is the reason the United States stays strong and free.
While other countries certainly appreciate their troops, you don't, see as many people wearing camouflage as a legitimate fashion statement. Likewise, you don't see movies made elsewhere that glorify the military to the degree that the US does.
Do me a favor. Tell my children I love them very much. All right, you alien assholes! In the words of my generation, up yours!
I think it's just a part of your culture. I actually thought it was quite nice when I went to the St. Patrick's Day Parade in New York that people were thanking their military. I thought it was good. I wouldn't criticize it personally. I mean, if you are from a country and, people are serving your country, I think it's no harm. There is like a lot of movies and stuff about it, but also they're really enjoyable movies. Like even as a European, I loved Independence Day.
Of the American enthusiasm is certainly rooted in patriotism. Still, it may also be a reaction to an increasingly anti-military sentiment that has popped up over the last several decades.
No war, okay? No war, okay? Oh, here you go, boys. These will help you protest. It's good to see that you care about peace, boys, okay?
Number 12. Use red plastic cups. If you've ever seen an American movie where a college party happens, chances are you've seen characters drinking from red cups. These red plastic or solo cups are everywhere in the US. The cheap drinking containers are a favorite at parties, both for their durability and their ease of use in party games. While they're also handy for crafts or gardening, they're most famous for their intended purpose. However, the rest of the world either doesn't have the United States party culture's emphasis on kegs or lacks the same distinctive cups, originally manufactured by the Solo Cup Company.
We just have white ones.
You might see them at a novelty American-themed party.
And they're
Number
smaller.
11, wear shoes inside. Taking off your shoes before you enter a home, or at least in the entryway, is pretty common etiquette in many countries.
Don't do that. Why'd you take your shoes off? So I don't break your nose.
And while many Americans do prefer to keep footwear off their floors, it isn't a hard and fast rule like it is in other places.
I think Ireland and Spain are very similar to the US in this way. Like, when you're in your own house, you probably aren't wearing shoes, but it's not like a rule.
Often it will depend on whether the person has carpeted floors or hardwood floors, with the latter considered easier to clean. Since it's not considered the norm though, asking guests to take off their shoes indoors can come across as rude or fussy, and so is often avoided. Number 10, eat peanut butter as their go-to spread. Peanuts are grown and eaten in many parts of the world. But it's the United States and Canada that do most of the peanut butter eating.
Peanut butter man now, eh, sir?
Yes, I believe I am. I thoroughly enjoyed this peanut butter.
A lot of countries see it as a niche or even unpleasant taste. Others have a spread that is more culturally ingrained, like Nutella. The USA cannot get enough of peanut butter though, consuming over 1 billion pounds of it annually. January 24th is even National Peanut Butter Day. It's a cheap source of protein that most American children grow up eating, so it's no wonder that it's a comfort food for many of them. Number 9. Work too much. Americans are workaholics, at least compared to basically every other country in the world. The majority of Americans work more than 40 hours a week.
Why do we do this to ourselves? Well, the conventional answer is that this attitude towards work makes the American economy the envy of the world. America is a hectic, turbocharged system that builds, destroys, rebuilds, all at warp speed.
They also tend to lack many of the things the rest of the world takes for granted, like paid.
Pretty much everybody I know works more than 40 hours a week. Maybe it's different in other parts of the world. But, like, for example, I would say the Irish work culture is closer to the America work culture. In Spain, they are very laid back and even take a siesta in the middle of the day. I think a lot of times in America, like, working is seen as being like a conscientious person, and that's why it is the way it is, as well as the cost of living. But yeah, I would say my own home country would be a little bit more similar than other parts of Europe.
Holidays, as well as sick and parental leave. Research has shown that happier, less stressed workers do better at their jobs. Iceland even recently tried a 4-day work week that proved wildly successful.
There's lots of other benefits to a 4-day working week. It's not just the it's not just the mental health and economy, good for the economy. It's also environmental benefits too. Evidence looks like when we're commuting less as a result of a 4-day week, that brings down emissions. Also, energy consumption goes down. So this is a policy that's win-win for the environment, for workers, for employers. What's not to like about it?
Several European countries take long breaks for lunch. While the American drive is admirable, grind culture becomes problematic when it costs workers their mental health and well-being. Number 8, make small talk with strangers. Americans are known for their friendliness towards strangers, especially outside of big cities. It's not uncommon for Americans to smile at each other in passing, but their comfort with new people also extends to small talk, saying hello or even striking up a conversation out of the blue.
If you are seated in an emergency exit row, and feel you would be unable or unwilling to perform the duties listed on the safety card, please ask a flight attendant to reseat you.
In many countries, speaking to strangers unprompted can be seen as intrusive or even risky. Many Americans are masters of the art, though, often happy to chat with people they've never met about the weather, sports, or whatever else comes up in conversation.
It looks like a carrot, honey.
It looks like a carrot. Hi.
Number 7, casually own guns. In many countries, gun laws are strict and gun ownership is relatively rare. In the US, gun ownership is protected by the Second Amendment, and gun ownership is the highest in the world. Despite making up 4% of the global population, Americans own 46% of civilian-held firearms. There's a distinct gun culture, where gun ownership is celebrated or at least seen as important for personal safety. Most states even allow you to open carry.
But it's a lucky thing I had my pieces.
Your pieces?
My guns.
Oh.
Anyway, I started blasting. Bang! Bang!
Of course, the issue is extremely divisive due to the country's high rate of gun deaths. Either way, the idea of having so many guns around is a novel one for many visitors.
Guns. Lots of guns.
Number 6, put sales tax on everything.
Sales tax is paid when you buy something, and the business you purchased your goods from sends that money to the government. There are 2 types of sales tax: general sales tax and excise taxes. General sales tax is a tax levied on most goods you buy. Excise taxes are taxes levied only on certain items.
Most countries enact a value-added tax, or VAT, on goods or services purchased within their borders. These taxes are collected from every person in the supply chain, from the distributors to the consumers. The United States is one of the few to use sales tax, which not only vary wildly from state to state, but are only enacted after a purchase has been made.
The state treasury
It's
depends
so
on sales taxes
annoying.
to pay for road repairs, education, and medical care for children, seniors, and the poor.
I will say I do find it annoying. You guys are used to it, but it feels like a hidden cost to me. I mean, I'm not going to argue with you because that's what you do, but not knowing the actual price of stuff until you get to the till is like, stresses me out.
Also not listed in the initial price, which can leave foreign visitors and many Americans scratching their head as to why they're being charged more than the price on the product. Better or worse? You decide. It's certainly more confusing.
What's the advice then? If you're going to buy a big ticket item, where's the cheapest sales tax?
Well, you know, you can go online and look at all the sales tax rates for different cities. And if you look at one dealership or one, you know, Best Buy or something like that, you can find the different zip codes and look at the sales tax rates and just see how much that'll little take off and then take your family out for a nice night.
There you go.
Number 5, recite a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
In many parts of the United States, school children, and adults in some settings, are expected to recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Back then in 1892, when it was written by Francis Bellamy, Bellamy was a Baptist minister, and in conjunction with a magazine called The Youth's Companion, he wrote this, at that time, 23-word Pledge of Allegiance.
This is an expression that they will be loyal to the USA, and is usually performed daily while looking at the nation's flag, which you will find hanging everywhere, by the way. This isn't something other countries do. They might salute or respect their flag and country, but to make school children recite an oath to the country? The pledge has been the subject of plenty of controversy within the US too, particularly since it mentions God. While some schools no longer require it, it remains a widespread practice.
Bottom line is, we all look different, sound different, but we are all on the same team.
Number 4.
Okay, so it is something that does seem unusual to outsiders for sure. I went to one multi-denominational school, but two multi-denominational schools. But we would say Catholic blessings at the beginning of the day and the end of the day and before lunch. So it wasn't something that we thought about that much. I would imagine for you guys it's similar, like we're probably overthinking it on the outside.
Watch ads for prescription drugs. Aside from New Zealand, the United States is the only country in the world that advertises prescription drugs directly to consumers. Every day, Americans are bombarded with ads for prescription medications, featuring generic, pleasing imagery and a list of side effects longer than a flagpole.
Side effects may include upper respiratory infection, stuffy or runny nose, and sore throat and headache.
Many people, Americans included, are baffled by the practice, as doctors and not patients are meant to decide what drugs to prescribe. Proponents claim that advertising increases competition and lowers drug costs. Meanwhile, prescription drugs are typically far more expensive in the United States, as the US doesn't regulate or negotiate drug prices.
But can you guys just ask for the generic option of the drug? Like, that's usually what happens here in Europe. Like, if you go to your GP or your general practitioner doctor and they prescribe you something, they might prescribe you a name brand of something. But if you go to the pharmacy, you can just ask for the non-name brand, the generic version. I assume that's similar in the US, and you can pay a lot less money for it that way.
Number 3, put months before days.
Oh yeah, this is
Most of humanity
confusing.
marks calendar dates as being day first, then month, then year.
It's the date. Assuming the first two numbers are some big old space date, then you've got year, month, day. It's the other way around like it is in America.
Or else the opposite as year, month, then day. The reasoning is that you can go from the shortest value to the longest or vice versa. Yet the United States and parts of Canada eschew both these formats by putting the month first, then day, then year. The US has been using this format basically since its founding, although it has used the day first format interchangeably too. The exact reason why is debatable, but as far as practicality goes, it can be useful when filling out forms to know which month it is before which day or year. Number 2, go bankrupt from healthcare. Medical costs are the cause of over 60% of all bankruptcies in the United States.
In 2017, 1/3 of the money raised on GoFundMe went towards medical campaigns. And the site raises $650 million a year for more than 250,000 medical campaigns.
Americans experience a variety of unexpected charges while getting much-needed care. from surprise bills to being charged for riding in an ambulance.
According to one study, 71% of all ambulance providers do not take the patient's insurance. That same study found that 79% of patients who took an ambulance could get a surprise bill, with an average total around $450.
In some parts of the civilized world, even seeing a medical bill can be an uncommon occurrence. Healthcare worldwide tends to be much more regulated than it is in the US. It's either funded through taxes in a single-payer system or else through individual insurers who are more strictly monitored.
Other countries, they don't have this problem. Instead of every private insurance company negotiating with every healthcare provider, there's just this big list. Country, the central government, they go and they say, if you want to sell to us, to all of our people, then here's what you can charge for a checkup. Here's what you can charge for an MRI or a prescription for Lipitor.
Bottom line, while there can sometimes be extra charges, for most of the world, medical debt is basically unheard of, except in horror stories about the US.
That's not true. By the way, the way I feel about this subject is I just don't gotta say, I'm not an American person, I'm not an American citizen. I don't gotta say. But to say that medical debt is unheard of in the rest of the world is simply not true. A lot of people have been in debt because of medical stuff. Maybe not to the same extent as sometimes in the USA, but you know, like it costs in private healthcare €250 to go see a private specialist. You know, it's still a thing. Most people either have insurance or there is a lot of like public medical assistance, but even in those cases you have to wait like months and months and months sometimes to see the person you want to see, so a lot of people just end up paying out of pocket.
Credit card. I can't buy a house. I don't see me ever being out of debt.
Number 1, use the imperial measurement system.
Can you explain to me?
Yes.
How the country that can send men and hopefully women to the moon,
Yeah, all and beyond.
still are in gallons and inches. And when the entire world is metric, I do not understand this.
There are 3 countries in the world that don't use the metric system: Myanmar, Liberia, and the United States. Objectively, metric is the less arbitrary measurement system since everything goes by tens. Even Britain and Commonwealth countries have converted.
The point is, the US system has always been a little more accessible than metric. Sure, stacking up 12 thumb widths to make a foot, that's still kind of weird, but it's not so weird that we're clamoring to change it.
Although admittedly, they do still use measurements like feet and inches casually.
So now I can't ask a distance when I visit another country. I'm like, how far is that? They're like, that's 500 kilometers. I'm not in the Olympics.
So why hasn't the US converted? We'll give you one guess. Did you say it's because of money? Because money is definitely a big factor. Converting to a whole new system of measurement is expensive. Other factors include a need for control and stability of the US. So, inertia, basically. Why change when you don't need to? And you know what your mom says? If all the other countries jumped off a bridge, would the US do it too? Or something like that.
A 2015 Rasmussen poll asked Americans if we should switch to the metric system and adopt Celsius as our main temperature scale. 64% said no, while 21% said yes, and the remaining 15% was undecided. So it looks like we're perfectly fine with being different.
That last little joke is funny, watch my joke. But in terms of measurement stuff, I'm not passionate about it. I don't really care. You do whatever you want. Sometimes you just have to go that little extra step of converting stuff to understand it, but like, different countries do different things. It really doesn't bother me. I don't think there was anything surprising on that list whatsoever. But let me know below in comments if you found anything particularly surprising or unusual, or indeed if there's anything that you think they missed out that should have been included. Shout out today to a couple of patrons.
Shout out today to the members of Squad. These guys are eligible for the patron hangout every single month over on Skype. I talk to them, they talk to me. We get to hang out together. And actually prior to this video, we're gonna have a hangout. I'm currently in my sick bed, so it'll be interesting how that one goes. Hopefully you guys can cheer me up and I get to see all your pets through the camera too, because you really do make it possible for me to do the music reactions. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much, guys. That's it for today. See you on the other side. Bye.